Hi, everybody. Gene here. Welcome to the Tapping Q&A podcast, where every single week we answer the most common and uncommon questions about tapping and EFT so you can eliminate self-sabotage and take the action that you want. As I'm recording this, it is Thursday, March 5th, and I'm going to put this up a little bit early just so you can have access to it. Over the course of the last couple of days, I've received a number of emails from listeners just like you who are just feeling a little concerned and a little panicked because of the news around the coronavirus and what is going on around the world. And so I just wanted to put up something a little bit early so you have an opportunity to just do a little tapping to make it a little easier to navigate trying times. So if you're finding this after the fact, this is something that is going to be useful anytime you're facing something that is big and scary. This is Gene Montrastelli. Welcome to the Tapping Q&A podcast, recorded live to tape from Williamsburg in Brooklyn. This is episode 438, originally aired March 11th, 2020. Hi, everyone. I hope this finds you well wherever you are and whatever time of day you're getting a chance to listen to this. Thanks for spending some time with me today. Today, we are going to talk about and tap on when we are in over our heads with something that is really big and that is really scary. Before we get into that, two caveats to this. Number one, as much as I love tapping, tapping is not a replacement for good, thoughtful medical care. It never has been. It never will be. It is something that is a great augment to the other amazing things that we have available to us. We live in amazing times, and there have been incredible medical strides over the last 10 years, over the last 100 years, over the last 1,000 years. It's important that we take advantage of all of the tools that are at our disposal. At the exact same time, I've actually created a tap along that I found to be a great complement when you are struggling with cold and flu-like symptoms. Again, this does not replace medical care. This is a way that you can tap to augment the proper health care that you are receiving. You can go and find that audio as well as a 2-page script that I've created. This is really good for just tuning into your body and helping it to be healthy. All you need to do is go to tappingqa.com/195. That's tappingqa.com/195. It is easy to feel overwhelmed by things that are outside of our control. And in the current circumstance with what is going on in the world, most of us, all we have access to is news and social media feeds and information that is coming at us nonstop. And it's always really difficult when we're facing something that is potentially scary, as people are making thoughtful choices as they're trying to keep many people as safe as possible, and not being able to do anything about it. That we're in a circumstance that, other than making sure that we're making good, thoughtful choices about where we spend our time and how we wash our hands and the choices that we make day to day, there's a huge amount that is outside of our control. And that's a difficult thing for all of us. It's certainly difficult for me. I'm a really big fan of the agency I have in my life. I mean, part of the reason that I have been self-employed since 1997 is I like having control over the things I do, how I spend my time, how I spend my energy, and something like this. And the reality is there are lots of things in our life that are way outside of our control. So today we're just going to do a little tapping on how we can continue to remain calm and make thoughtful choices in the face of something that is big and is outside of our control. So to begin with, tap on the side of your hand, take a nice big deep breath. Take another nice big deep breath. And just move from tapping point to tapping point, repeating after me. Right now I'm worried, because things are outside of my control. There is nothing specifically I can do to impact the big picture. The only thing that I am engaging with is social media feeds and news outlets providing a constant stream of information. As I encounter this information, I recognize more and more what is outside of my control. I recognize more and more how little control I actually have. It's scary when I don't have control, because it feels like I am simply at the whims of the universe. Which means bad things can happen to me. And bad things can happen to my loved ones. And there isn't anything I can do about that. And that's a scary sensation. Because when I have control, it feels like I can do something. Even though I can't do anything for the big picture right now, it doesn't mean I lack control. I can make thoughtful choices moment to moment to help me to stay healthy, to help me to stay safe, to help me to be prepared. The reality is, I'm not in control all of the time. It just feels like I'm in control most of the time. Because things are going well. Right now, I have as much control as I normally do. I'm just facing a problem I'm not used to facing. I have been safe for a long time when I wasn't in control. And it's possible for me to be safe now when I'm not in control. I give myself permission to know that I don't have to watch the news all of the time. I give myself permission to not have to be inundated with all of the information. I give myself permission to be thoughtful about the media I am consuming. I can stay informed without having to consume it all. And I know when I'm consuming it all, it builds my worry. Even when people are trying to share information in a thoughtful way, it can create undue panic and alarm. I give myself permission to control what I can control. I can control the information I consume. I can control how I eat. I can control the environments I choose to be in. I can listen to my own body. I can make thoughtful choices to be helpful now. I can make thoughtful choices to make myself healthier. I give myself permission to be easy in this moment, knowing I can make thoughtful decisions without being panicked. Knowing I can make thoughtful decisions even when I'm not in total control. Nice big deep breath. In some ways, it's almost harder being in the well-connected world that we are in. 2 decades ago, when things like this were going on, we would get information in the evening news and the newspaper the next morning, and we would be informed, but we wouldn't be inundated with all of this information. Because of our connected nature, every single moment of the day, you can tune on a news network, you can log on to a website, and there seems to be new information, which oftentimes is just repeating the same information over and over again. And the natural sense of that information getting heightened is natural just because the time is needing to be filled by media outlets. And it's also easy for us, if we continue to stew about something, to be overwhelmed by it. So it's good to make sure that we're finding that middle ground, that we're not being thoughtless, that we're not being careless, but we're also not being overwhelmed by it, because it is possible for us to make good, thoughtful choices moment to moment as we navigate this. If you know someone who's feeling particularly panicked right now, please feel free to pass this along to help them to feel a little more relaxed, because when we're relaxed, we make more thoughtful choices. Also, if you want to check out my resource on just ways that we can continue to augment the health regimen that we're already a part of, I encourage you to go to tappingqna.com/195, tappingqna.com/195. I'll also include a link to that in the show notes. So if you're listening to this right now inside of your podcast app, you can just click on that link and it'll take you to the audio and you can continue there. There's a full 2-page script that you can print out as well, that you can tap along to, that I've found really beneficial over the years to augment and continue to reinforce me having a healthy body and a healthy lifestyle. If you have any questions or comments, please, as always, reach out. I can be reached Gene, Gene, at tappingqna.com. Like I said, this particular episode came because of some folks who are on the West Coast of the United States who are more seriously impacted by what is going on, reaching out, just asking for a little support. So if there's something that you'd like us to cover in the future, please let me know. If you haven't done so already, please subscribe to the podcast. In podcasting parlance, subscribe is always free. You can subscribe in Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Pandora, Spotify, Stitcher, TuneIn, iHeartRadio, Deezer, Luminary, Overcast. Anywhere you get audio, you can get the Tapping Q&A podcast. Sometimes it says follow, sometimes it says subscribe, whatever the action is in that app, click on it. So when new episodes come out, like this one, out of sequence, you're not missing it. You get it right away. For the Tapping Q&A podcast, this is Gene Montrestelli. I hope you have a great day, and I will talk to you real soon. Bye-bye. The Tapping Q&A podcast is copyright Gene Montrestelli Tapping Q&A. All views expressed by guests are those of the guests and not necessarily of Gene Montrestelli and Tapping Q&A.